yet, but I most likely will. And I'm like, yeah, it's so interesting. Like psilocybin, they've recently just started doing research with it, and they're just now finding results of it where it's really good. It can there's if you use it in the proper way at the proper time, there's huge benefits to it. And it's like this weird awakening. It's always so fascinating to me when we're so smart, right? Like we make a lot of inventions, we have a lot of innovations that we as a world can do, especially the United States and China. Like our science and technology is very advanced, right? It's very advanced. We have quantum mechanics, we have theoretical physicists, we have, chemists, we have organic chemistry, we have biology, evolutional biology, mathematics, linear mathematics, all these like different fields, calculus, all these like fields that are so advanced, right? Biostatisticians, and we have all this technology, right? That has allowed us to become the apex ape, right? And we're really smart. But it's so fascinating to me, and I know there's a lot of implications when it comes to like, stigma around drugs. We call them drugs, right? That's so weird. Like drugs is such a negative connotation, and but we use it with everything, right? You call prescription drugs, we call heroin drugs. Like we have like this one word. Like we need a different word for like different classifications of drugs, right? That's just once again I'm just spitballing. What the fuck do I know again? Anyways, what I was saying is we have all these things out there that are time after time after time after civilization after civilization after thousands and thousands of years. I mean, there's images like the Mayan Empire and the Aztecs like using these drugs, for whatever reasons. But just the fact that they were using it, they weren't fucking taking aspirin or Tylenol or ibuprofen, And I'm not saying that's because we're more advanced than them, which clearly we are, but in some regards. But clearly this chemical is used, like there's no boats at this time, and they're using them in these empires, but they're also using them overseas in Asia and like in Europe and stuff. And it's just so fascinating to me that there's this universal drug that in 2020 is still considered to be like illegal in the country. And I get it because, the side effects, you could, if you get a really bad high, there's the reason why I don't do drugs is because I get scared that I might become schizophrenic. Like I don't want to I just feel like my brain is already processing shit at such a weird state. So it's not faster, but without a break. Like it may not be the quickest, but sometimes it's like, it's just like leveling out on the highway. It's just going, and then every once in a while it starts going up and down a little bit, gains some speed, and then it goes up a hill a little bit. All it has an accelerator. It goes up a hill, and then it shoots down this hill. But I don't have a brake, so I can't slow down the hill. So I just keep fucking flying. And the only way it slows down is by just me relaxing, Terrible analogy. But there's so I get scared that if I don't know. It's probably just in my head, but I get super nervous that these things will make me trip balls, and then I might wake up one day and I feel like a fucking giraffe, like a zebra without like black and white stripes, but it has white and black stripes, like I don't know, but they work for a lot of people, and John Hopkins realizes this, and they're kind of like attacking the stigma. So they're like microdosing it with a lot of veterans for PTSD, for anxiety disorder, depression, these things that lead to suicide. Like these diseases. When someone says they suffer from depression or anxiety or PTSD, you don't have a knee-jerk reaction like if someone says, I'm suffering from cancer or have cancer. Both of them can lead to death easily. Cancer is more than likely the stats show that if you get diagnosed with cancer, it's not a death sentence, but your life's going to be a lot harder and it could lead to death. You get diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and not, you don't need to be diagnosed, because most people who do suffer from it aren't diagnosed, because to get diagnosed, you have to have a level of self-care. And if you fucking hate yourself, you don't have a level of self-care at all, and that's the brutal truth of it. But if I tell somebody I'm suffering from depression, there's not a positive attitude of you need help, you need real help. It's like you'll get over it. Because it's a mental thing, right? It's a mental thing. So if you decide one day, like I think people look at it as like, well, if you don't know how to skateboard, you'll learn how to skateboard eventually, right? If you keep on trying. And I think people think the same thing with depression, anxiety, and like PTSD. PTSD is a little different, but like especially anxiety and depression. But I was having a conversation with somebody, and the thing that sucks about all this shit, and the things that suck about the issues that come up during therapy, is that you have normalized all these things, right? When you're a depressed person and you're an anxious person, you've normalized all these things. You know, you've normalized your thoughts. You suppress your thoughts so much because you find that they have no validity to anything ever. You know, so you become your worst enemy. And the only time you're happy is when, honestly, is when things are suffering, or if you're even happy, you know, and you're inappropriately ecstatic, or your emotions are inappropriately connected to certain events that happen during the day. But you tell people that you suffer from these certain disorders, and there's not a I'm not saying that this should be, and I'm not saying that one is worse than the other. I'm not like, I don't want you guys. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that those cancer and mental illness both lead to death, right? They both lead to death. You know, cancer leads to physical death. Gone. Mental illness without being treated leads to suicide or the death of a personality, which in many cases is a death of a person, you know? I love cranberry juice, man. Oh man. The only thing that like throws me off of cranberry juice is like the like cranberry juice used to do like these commercials where they showed like the farmers of growing the cranberries, which was fine. But they're like in a field and people are just walking among them and their bodies are like touching them and shit. I was like, not a field. They're like in a pond. I'm like, I don't know if that's like really what I want to see that I'm drinking out of. But then again, that's what farming is. So